Welcome students, welcome to the classes of B Pharma third semester. This is Rohit Kumar Trivedi and I will be teaching pharmaceutical engineering in this semester. Today we will be discussing the elutriation method of size separation. Previously we have already discussed what is cyclone separator, what is size separation, what are the various principles. Okay, you can definitely go to my previous videos for understanding those lectures in a better way. Today we will be discussing the elutriation method of size separation. Basically, this method is also called as water shifting method because we use water as media for separating the different sized particles into different categories. Okay, so listen very carefully and do subscribe my YouTube channel for more pharmacy and educational videos. Elutriation method, as I already told you that this method is also called as water shifting method, as water will be used for the separation of different sized particles. Okay, in this method basically the separation depends upon the density of the particles. Basically few particles will have a higher density, few particles will have low density, on the basis of which we will be separating these solid particles using water. Okay, and the elutriation method can be done by these three methods. Okay, these are elutriation tank. Okay, basically these are the equipments. Next is multi-stage elutriation, and the third one is elutriation jar. Okay, let's have a close look on what these three different methods are. Now, as you can see, these are the three different methods. First is elutriation tank, second one is multi-stage elutriation, and the third one is elutriation jar. Okay, now have a close comparison between these three. Okay, now first of all the elutriation tank. Okay, we will be having a tank in which from the bottom we can see here is the suspension of the solid. There will be the entry of the material that we will be separating. Basically the solid material of different sized particle will be mixed with water. Okay, and we will be forming a suspension. The entry of the suspension in the tank will be from this part, and with the time, okay, when we will be introducing more suspension, that the level of the water or the suspension will be increased, and ultimately from the top side the suspension or the water, if complete separation has been completed, okay, we will be having the clear liquid, and if the separation is not complete, then we can say there will be a suspension again, but this water will be having particles with low density. Okay, now coming to the multi-stage elutriation, basically these two methods are exactly the same, but in this multi-stage elutriation you can see we have increased the tanks. Okay, that is why it is being called as multi-stage elutriation. Okay, and third one is elutriation jar. We will be having a huge jar, okay, on which we will have applied three different outlets. Okay, and from these three different outlets we will be getting the particles of different sizes. Okay, the low density particles will be observed from the topmost area, and the high density particles will be getting from the lowermost area of the elutriation jar. Okay, now let's have a close look individually on these methods of elutriation for size separation. Okay, now the very first, that is elutriation tank. Okay, as we have already discussed, it is a tank. Okay, from this portion, from the bottom area of the tank, we can see there is an entry of the suspension. Okay, so basically the solid material or the powdered material will be mixed with the liquid or water, we can say, and it will be introduced into the elutriation tank from this area, and with the time the level of the water or the suspension will be increased, and ultimately from the topmost area there will be an outlet for the we can say the fine particles that will travel with water, or those particles which will have the low density will be taken up with the flow of water, and we can collect those lighter or the smaller particles from the topmost area of our elutriation tank, and the heavy and the higher density particles will settle at the bottom of the tank and will be separating from the bottom of the elutriation tank, all those coarse size particles or large size particles. Okay, there is a basic very easy construction of the elutriation tank and the working also. Okay, now let's discuss the second method of the elutriation, basically the multi-stage elutriation. Basically what we do, we increase the fractions of the tanks. Okay, now you can see here we have introduced three different tanks, okay, with different capacities. This tank will have the lowest capacity, this tank will have higher capacity, and this tank will have more or the highest capacity among all these three tanks. Basically this tank, when we will be introducing our sample or our suspension from the bottom of the tank, okay, with time the flow of the water or the level of the water will be increased and ultimately from the topmost area there will be opening, the water will be taken down, okay, taken from this tank to the bottom of the another tank, isn't it? Okay, now what will happen, as this tank has lesser capacity, this will be filled very fast. Okay, after that you can see this tank has a larger surface area, okay, larger capacity, it can hold a larger volume of our suspension. Okay, now this tank will be filled very slowly as compared to this very first tank. Okay, with this slowly the water level will be increased, okay, and the lighter particles again will be taken to the topmost layer of the suspension or the water we can say, and ultimately again from the outlet this water will be taken to the another tank. Okay, again this tank will have larger capacity than the previous one. Okay, again this tank will be filled very slowly as compared to the previous one. Again the very slow movement of water will lead to separation of the very light particles from the coarse particles, we can say. Okay, now ultimately this tank will be filled very slowly as this tank will have a higher capacity, and the lighter particles will be taken to the topmost area of the tank, and ultimately we will be collecting those lighter or the very fine particles from the topmost area or the topmost outlet from this last tank or this larger tank, we can say. Okay, in this, by this method we can collect a variety of particle sizes. Okay, but when we talk about the elutriation tank only, that tank cannot produce the variety of the particle sizes, okay, because we are using a single tank only. In this method we are using the multi-stage separation is taking place in this equipment, okay, and then we will be having a variety of particle sizes, okay. We will have few particles will be settle here, few particles will settle here, few particles will settle here, again few lighter particles will be taken from this outlet. Okay, so we will be having 1, 2, 3 and 4 different sized particles. Okay, now moving to the next part or the third one, that is elutriation jar. Okay, we will be having a tank with a very huge capacity, and we will have installed 3 different outlet at 3 different levels of that elutriation jar. Okay, the sample will be introduced using this pipe or this inlet. Okay, now again this tank will be filled, okay, and we will be filling this tank to the topmost layer or topmost level. And now after some time what will happen, the larger size particles will settle at the bottom, and the middle size particles will be at this approximate area and the lighter particles will be on the topmost layer of the suspension or water, we can say. And by using these 3 openings we can collect our different size particles very easily. Okay, first of all we will be opening this one, after that this one, and after that this one. Okay, so we will be having 3 different sized particles by using this jar method, basically elutriation jar, we can say. Okay, now moving to advantages of the elutriation tank. Okay, the elutriation method of the size separation. Basically it is a continuous process, means we can use these machineries for a longer duration continuously, and we will be separating our different size particles continuously. Okay, we are not required to break the process in between and collect the particles separately. Okay, it is a continuous process. Okay, for longer duration we can use this method. Okay, and next one is We can attach many stages. Okay, we can attach several tanks, okay, with one another, and we will be having the variety of particle sizes in the different tanks. Okay, now when we talk about the disadvantage, the water soluble material, okay, listen very carefully, the water soluble material cannot be processed or cannot be separated, okay, by using this method. Okay, the water soluble material cannot be separated by using this method. This is the major disadvantage of this material. And the material that have that are not stable in water, okay, those material cannot also be separated by using this method, as we will be using water as a media for the separation of the different sized particles. Okay, this was all about the elutriation method of size separation. I hope you people would have got each and everything that I was trying to make you understand. Okay, if you have any questions in your mind, you can ask any time in the comment box. I will try to answer your questions instantly. And again, this is Rohit Kumar Trivedi, Assistant Professor Pharmacy. Do subscribe my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook for more pharmacy and educational video. Till next video, happy learning. Bye bye.